This is video 5, perception versus faith. To better understand the Hebraic definition of perception so that we can understand what fear actually is, let's compare the Hebrew word for perception, which is re, with the Hebrew word for faith, which is amen. Now, remember that in Hebrew we read from right to left, but also the order of the letters, where they are placed at in a word, matters. In re, it is understood that the head is giving the strength. So head to the strength, okay? The head is giving the strength. In amen, we have the image of an ox head, which we already know is the strength, but we also have water, which looks like that, and then the noon is a picture of a seed, which kind of looks like that. And in this word for faith, amen, what we actually see here is the strength being given to the water and the water giving to the seed. Okay, and so I have two images that can hopefully help us to better visualize this concept of how words are ordered and what it means depending upon how they're ordered. Okay, and so here we have this image right there. And in this image, we can clearly see that the head is giving to the strength. All right. So the head is, you could also say adding. The head adds to the strength, right? So the head is the giver of the strength. But in amun or amen, the root, in amun, the strength is given or giving to the water, and the water is giving to the seed. So we have two different concepts. In one, the head of a person is the giver of strength, and in the other, so in one, the head of a person is the giver of strength, but in the other, the strength is the giver to the seed. The strength is the giver to the seed. And so the strength comes from some outside source, not from man. Okay, so that's one way to view it. The other way is to see it as the strength from the seed, because this letter here literally translates to from, right? So we can also say that this is strength from the seed. And when we study the Bible, we hear a lot about the seed, and the seed essentially is, in short, is like inner knowledge, something that is God-given, something that is planted by the Father in his children or in all of humanity. Perception and faith are actually adversaries. Why is this? Because the source of strength are opposite. The source of strength in one's perception is basically man, the mind of man. But the source of strength in faith is the strength itself, or the giver of strength. Okay? And so these are opponents, they're adversaries. As to a lot of times we think of fear itself as the adversary or the opposite of faith. But when we study this in depth, what we learn is that it is not fear that is the opposite of faith, but perception that is the opposite of faith. How we see things in our own mind based on our own understanding is the adversary of faith. because the strength that exists comes from ourselves in perception. Contrarily, in faith, the strength comes from a higher source. So perception is reliance upon the human mind to give strength to the person. Okay, so reliance on human mind. All right, and that is perception.